or staff.
Seems like that could be a hardship on working parents or new parents. Looking at Heidi.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, if we weren't in COVID and we would have had to be in person, I would have missed a lot more meetings. It would have been very different.
Mr. Nullup, you'll let me know when we're ready to go. All right, thank you, Mr. Nullup. All right, I will call this Tigard City Council meeting to order. City Recorder Krager, please call roll.
Councillor Newton.
Here.
Council President Lube.
Here.
Councillor Shaw.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Here.
Youth Councillor Calderon.
Here.
Councillor Goodhouse.
Here. All right, Mr. Nullup, would you please put the flag up on the screen, and I'll ask everyone to mute and participate in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. We'll move on to a call for council or staff non-agenda items. City Manager Reimer, anything from staff?
There's not, Mayor.
All right, and council, I'm not aware of any. All right, we'll move on to public comment. Follow up to previous public comment, Assistant City Manager Nyland.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Again, my name is Kathy Nyland. So we did not have a council meeting last week, so no public comment was received, but you did have a very engaging conversation about gas-powered leaf blowers at your June 8th meeting, and that spurred a lot of conversation. So that said, I found this fun fact, which really isn't fun, but it's more fascinating. So a gas-powered leaf blower generates as much tailpipe emissions in 1 hour as an automobile does over 100 miles. And the difference in that is the car emits all that pollution over a stretch of area, whereas a leaf blower deposits all of that in one small area. So just a little fun fact for you to consider. So that's what I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that additional perspective. Let's see. City Recorder Krager, I don't believe we had any written public comment. Was there anything that came in that I missed?
No, that's correct. We didn't receive any.
All right. If anyone wishes to make phone-in public comments, phone line is open, 503-966-4101. Again, 503-966-4101. Mr. Nullup, are there any callers in the queue now?
Mr. Mayor, no callers in the queue, and I just noticed that Youth Councillor Calderon may have dropped off the meeting. Oh, there he is. He's coming back. Okay.
All right.
No callers.
All right. All right. So we'll move on to council liaison reports. Let's see. Let's start with Councillor Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just two quick reports. We continue to have extremely engaging conversations at the Public Safety Advisory Board. The last meeting was on procedural justice. A lot of good questions, a lot of good food for thought. So I think that's going to be helpful information and helpful perspective for the board as we move forward in learning more and making recommendations in the future. So it was a really good conversation. If you haven't seen that, I encourage you to catch that meeting. The second thing I will report is that the Community Development Block Grant Policy Advisory Board is currently reviewing and rating contract for shower trucks. We're going to get 2 more for Washington County, and so we're going to be looking at being able to place them around the county on a given schedule for homeless folks to be able to access. I had a question that I'm trying to get information about regarding how South County particularly will be served, so I'll keep an eye on that. But our ratings are due Friday, and we will be letting the contract, I believe, at our meeting on July 8th. That's all I have.
I assume you'll be advocating strongly for good presence of one of those trucks in South County, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. That's what's behind my question.
I figured, just making sure.
Thanks.
Want to make sure we're advocating. All right. Let's see. Counselor Goodhouse.
I think it's actually crapped up.
We can. Oh, it's going on and off. We cannot hear you. Let me see if I can unmute you. No, I cannot. No, Mr. Nolip, it looks like he's unmuting and then it immediately starts muting again. Oh, now it looks good. Try now, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and you can see me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give mine in afterwards. I'm gonna log out and log back in because I can't see anyone else that's flickering. So, on Friday had a League of Oregon Cities Board of Directors meeting. The first time back in person for 1.5 years, so that went well. A couple of us went to the Viewfinder hard hat tour that was there off 72nd. That's affordable housing going in the Triangle. That was a good event. Let's see. I attended the Tigard Turns the Tide, their year-end celebration event earlier in the and then last week in King City, State of the City, and that went well as well. So that's my quick presentation, and I'm gonna restart so I can see if this works.
All right. Counselor Goodhouse, are you okay if we continue, or would you like us to wait on the liaison reports until you return?
Go ahead and continue. I'll restart.
Okay. Counselor Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple to report on. Of course, we're all aware of the chlorine shortage and our work with the Regional Water Providers Consortium and the request to conserve both within our community, but also Lake Oswego. So that's moving forward. Also, you would have received on Tuesday, June 22nd from the Planning Commission minutes that shows approval of the housing needs analysis and as well as the final briefing for River Terrace 2.0. And then the WSRC sub-district modification Fano Creek Trail connections approval as well. So you have those minutes, and that is all I have to report currently.
Thank you. Let's see, Council President Loop.
Yeah, so the Tigard Chamber actually took the month off because it was so close to the end of session, but both the Parks and Rec Board and the Library Board met. Really interesting conversation on the Parks and Rec Board. We've been approached to possibly have the soccer fields at Cook Park be turfed. And we're just in the very beginning conversations about what that may look like. But just wanted to flag out there. And for anybody who's been to the baseball fields, I mean, they look really wonderful, but a lot of conversations around equity and making sure that, you know, people still have access to the public park while maintaining the investment. So that's really all I have. And we're bringing on new library board members today, which we're very excited about.
Excellent. Is there a 30-second sort of recap you could give on the, you know, again, 30 seconds and at 30,000 feet, but could you give a little bit of info on how the turf soccer fields might be financed and used?
Well, that's just, I mean, this is just the very beginning of the conversation that we were having to see if that's something that the Parks Board would be open to really develop that conversation and start to hammer out those details. So it was very, very preliminary. I'm not bringing you any decisions, or I'm just broaching the topic in case somebody says, have you heard? That we're just talking about it. There's been no promise. It's just an agreement to move forward in the conversation.
And there's no financing plan or anything else that just even conceptually about how it would happen, because that would be very expensive.
It would be very expensive. And I believe the name is Albion, the soccer club. They're looking at bringing private financing to it, but still working through, would this be a city project? Would this be totally public or private? You know, what would that look like? But again, lots of questions were had, and there was just an agreement to move forward in the discussion that it's something we are open to talking about.
Thank you. Councillor Shaw, did you have a question about Council President Lube's report?
I did, Council President Lube. I assume, and you may have answered the question, that they've surveyed soccer players, and this is something that they want, because I know, having once been an avid soccer player, artificial turf comes with its own complications and more injuries.
Yeah, it's something that they're actually really excited about, because there's a lack of it in the area. One of the only turf fields that they can use is actually the Tigard High School field. And so it would allow for more year-round play. And we would also need to look at, you know, the floodplains and all of those things. So very beginning of the conversation, but something that would also potentially have an impact on bringing, you know, outside groups into Tigard, because there just isn't that many around here.
All right, Youth Councillor Calderon.
Yes, so just like Councillor Newton said, if you haven't watched the PSAB, you guys should go check that out. I'm very excited to be able to stay on with them coming up, and I think we'll have great discussions coming up. So if you guys aren't keeping up, I would suggest to do that. And TIAC, I unfortunately missed the meeting yesterday because I was out with family, but I know that next Youth City Councilor Oishiki was able to attend. So I'm glad that they're being able to, that she's connecting with them. And I know that they're also looking at if they can help out with movies in the park this year, even though it'll be different because of COVID. But yes, that's about all that I have today.
Well, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. I will give a couple of updates. The latest Washington County Coordinating Committee meeting, just really quickly, I think the county is trying to figure out what the next phase of the MSTIP program looks like, which would be, that's the Major Streets and Transportation Improvement Program. And that is something the county's put on for many years and uses revenue from all over the county to help fund projects, again, all over the county. So just a heads up that there's sort of discussion about what that will look like in the future, and how it may be funded. So just a heads up there. And then also want to let you know that a bunch of the police reform bills you probably saw had moved forward, including the one that Representative Graber and I wrote. And I can now report to you that the governor has signed it into law. So I'm excited about that. It's an interesting moment for me. I wrote my first piece of state legislation when I was about 15 or 16 years old, and this is the first one that's ever made it into law. So it took 3 decades, but you know, persistence pays off. So just a heads up there, I was excited about that. And we can move on unless anyone's got any further report outs or comments. All right, we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is used for routine items, including minutes and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting tonight. Items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Council members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Tonight, I believe that we are receiving and filing the certification of the May 18th, 2021 election results. City Recorder Krager, did you need to share any information with us about this?
No, I think you're all pretty aware. It's the Measure 34305, the approval of the substantial amendment to the City Center Urban Renewal Plan. It passed 65.35 to 34.65. So it was a special election. Not a lot of people voted really, but we're happy with how it turned out.
All right, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councillor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder,
Yes.
Councillor Goodhouse.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda is adopted unanimously. Thank you. All right, this next item is to consider a resolution of thanks for Youth City Councilor Calderon. And I think the entire council wants to express our appreciation, and we have a resolution formally to thank you, Youth Councilor Calderon, and it has a lot of great information in it, and even some references to where you, I think, helped put the adults either in their place or redirected in a positive way, or even in some cases allowed individual presenters to add information just because of some questions you asked. I want to make sure there's time for everyone to give their direct appreciation to you. And without reading the 2-page resolution, which I could do, if you prefer, I'm happy to do that too. But I would really rather focus, if everybody's okay with it, focus on each individual member of the council speaking to Youth Councilor Calderon. And we also can reference parts of that resolution if we want. Why don't we act on the resolution first, and then we can talk through it. So is there a motion or discussion on resolution number 21-22?
I move to approve resolution 2122.
And I'm happy to second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 21-22. A resolution thanking Emilio Calderon for his service as Tigard's Youth City Councilor.
And a roll call vote.
Councillor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder,
Yes.
Councillor Goodhouse.
Yes.
All right, resolution 21-22 is passed. And with that, Youth Councilor Calderon, I want to just thank you for such significant contributions in a year that was extremely challenging. You both maintained your professionalism and provided, I think, really good insight to the entire council. to the point where I think you and I recently had a conversation about whether we should, and I'm going to bring this up now so the rest of the council can hear this, and the city manager too, whether or not we should allow or expect the future youth city councilors to provide an advisory vote. It wouldn't be necessarily a binding vote, but an advisory vote as we're moving through our council agendas. And that the reason I bring that up is I think that speaks to how well you did the work and how much we all respect you and respect the work of the youth city councilor. We might make the youth councilor vote first so that it then, we all have to think about that as we're making our final decisions around voting. So with that said, I will move on to Council President Lube. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I just, I want to thank Youth Councilor Calderon. A lot of it is, in the resolution of thanks, but you were just very engaging. You represented the youth vote. You brought a perspective to us that it was a good reminder to have and some really interesting conversations. And you've just been such an asset to the council and to the city, and we owe you a debt of gratitude for your service to the city. So thank you so much. And thank you for making us laugh.
It's always helpful. Councilor Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm sad because Emilio is leaving us as our youth city councilor tonight. But I met Emilio when he was, I think, a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and he was chair of the Tigard Youth Advisory Council. And I thought, okay, this person is going places. He approaches issues around his community from the perspective of a youth, but also with the idea that he can make a difference, that he can have an influence. He engages, he asks good questions. He was a good leader for the Youth Advisory Council. So I'm sad, but I'm also really excited about the bar he set and the potential for all of our youth city councilors. And I would support your idea, Mr. Mayor, of an advisory vote, because there is a perspective the youth can bring, but when they take their perspective and the advice they can provide, the questions they can ask as seriously as our Councilor Calderon did, I think there's a lot of value there. And I'm also really happy because he's going to continue to be a member of the Public Safety Advisory Board. So I'll still see him every other Monday. So thank you. And thank you, Emilio. You set the bar so high. Really appreciate everything you did and all the insight you brought to us over the last year. Thanks.
And I think it's fabulous that we get to continue having his input on the Public Safety Advisory Board. I think it's a great year to have you continue in that role. So thank you. And for members of the public that are wondering about this whole advisory vote, or even youth members of our city who are wondering, well, why not give the youth city councilor a full vote? And as a community, we could choose to do that, but it would require a change of our city charter. That's one issue. And that's not that can't be changed, but it would require a whole review and rework of our city charter, which is essentially our city constitution. And the second thing that it would create and necessitate is if we were to just make that change, we would then have an even number of members of the council, which would yet present another challenge and issue. And so far we have not, proceeded with that conversation, but I just want to add that context since Councilor Newton was reacting to that. So things for our community to think about further. Councilor Goodhouse.
Yes, I think Emilio did an excellent job. I want to reference back when we were all with the National League of Cities and we were meeting with our elected representatives, with our Congress people and senators. What a great job you did of jumping in, asking thoughtful questions. And for someone that's never been in this situation, it can be a little intimidating. You have a lot of people that are asking questions, and you jumped in with some, well thought out, well thought questions and follow-up questions too. So you didn't just leave it at that. I think you really got engaged and even kind of got some kind of tentative job offers to go be either lobbyist or work for outfits. So So you did such a good job that that even people that do that for a living said, "Hey, you got a knack for this." So you've done a great job of jumping in, learning everything, and I always laugh with every time you always would say something about, well, I didn't realize there's so much about water in the city, or I didn't realize there's so much about streets, and so it was blew me away because we get used to it and kind of gets redundant, but we forget sometimes that there is so much going on in this, the city and everything and all the intricate parts of it. So thank you for all your work and all your effort and everything like that. And if we're weighing in on the advisory vote, my only question would be is how that would then affect all the other committees if we have non-voting members, if they would also then be getting advisory votes as well. So I don't know how that would, by doing one aspect, if that would then also trigger a question if everyone that's alternates in other committees, if they would then have advisory votes. But I want to wish you well, Emilio, and best of luck.
All right, Councillor Shaw.
Great. Well, I too want to give my thanks. I didn't get to work with you as long as the other counselors. However, I did get to watch you quite a bit last year and really appreciate not only your attendance, and I agree you've set that bar really high, but your contribution and then the contribution of your youth perspectives, and really excited for you and what your future holds. And if you ever want to go and become a staffer or work for certainly even as a legislative staffer or run for office, certainly give me a call. But really appreciate your work. Thank you.
The job offers continue, Youth Councillor Calderon. Would you like to share anything with the council or the community tonight?
I would love to. First, like you guys just said, it's always good to have friends in high places. So I'm glad I'm making friends in high places. I would also like to thank all of you guys for giving me the opportunity to be a youth city councilor. It's given me so many experiences that I would have otherwise not even known about or obviously had. And I think that they're just going to be invaluable to my life. And I definitely think this experience has changed me in what I've wanted to do. I would also like to thank whoever wrote this resolution for two reasons. First is that it has all my accomplishments in it, which will make it a very easy reflection tool when I have to write one for volunteer hours. And then I think that this will just be the coolest submission for proof of volunteering. Tigard City Council Resolution number 21. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Otherwise, I would just say it's been a great experience working with City Council. I've had so many experiences, like I said, and I've learned just so much. Like Councillor Goodhouse just said, I didn't know that there was so much about water, about streets, about parks, and it's just good to know what a city does and where my taxpayer dollars will be going when I'm older. And just again, thank you guys so much. And I definitely will keep in contact with you guys, friends in high places, like I said. Thank you guys so much. And it's been just a great experience.
Thank you, Youth Councillor Calderon. I will say I'm not sure we're in as high a place as you might think, but we'll do what we can. All right. With that, we will move on with our business meeting and move to consider appointments of Tigard Library Board members and alternates. Director Bernard.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council, city teammates, and Tigard community. My name is Halstead Bernard. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the director of the Tigard Public Library. I am honored to be with you all tonight to recommend 4 outstanding community members for appointment to the Tigard Library Board. But first, we would like to thank the departing Tigard Public Library Board members whose terms end on June 30th. Mary Bogert, a member for 4 years. Katie Harris, an alternate and then a member for 10 years total. Suzanne Sikora, a member for 2 years, and Gail Stevens, an alternate for 2 years. This year, the library team worked with Nicole Hendricks and Eduardo Ramos from the City Management Office on an updated recruitment process with a goal of greater equity and diversity in board applicants. We received 9 applications for 4 open positions, and interviews of these applicants were conducted on June 2nd by the Mayor's Appointment Advisory Committee comprised of Council President Lube and myself. Council President Lube and I were so impressed with the 4 recommended appointees' commitment to the library's vision of being a community hub for knowledge and enrichment where everyone is welcome. Each recommended appointee brought specific examples of how they would advise the library team in improving access to resources for all community members. The recommendations of this advisory committee are now before the council for approval by resolution. We recommend Mary Bogert for reappointment as a member for a 4-year term, Candace Coleman for appointment as a member for a 4-year term, Elena Knepreth for appointment as a member for a 3-year term, and Alan Smith for appointment as an alternate for a 2-year term. Biographies of all recommended appointees have been provided in the packets for council, and our recommended appointees have been invited to attend tonight's meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for your consideration.
Director Bernard, how many of them? I see a couple, I think, at least on the line. Are all 4 of them here tonight virtually? Or at least 3, it looks like? Or Council President?
I see 3.
Okay. I would like to give each of them just a very quick opportunity to introduce themselves to us and to the community. So is Mary on the line?
I am. I'm right here. My name is Mary Bogert, and I am delighted to serve for another 4 years on the library board. I've lived in Tigard for 35 years, so a avid library supporter and user. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And I don't know that I see Candace Coleman. Is she on the line?
I'm right here.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Hi. Just want to introduce myself. I'm Candace Coleman, and I'm very excited to join the library board and represent our community this way.
Thank you, Candace. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Mr. Mayor.
And Elena. Is Elena on the line?
I am. I'm Elena Knepreth. I'm a avid library user with my 5-year-old daughter, and I'm excited to serve on the library board. This is my first kind of civic involvement, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Well, welcome. Just won't allow it to be your last, so get used to being involved, and we all appreciate it, and the community will benefit from it. And then Alan.
Hi, everyone. Alan Smith here. I've been a Tigard resident since 1993, but grew up in across the boundary in Beaverton, so not far from here, and wanted to continue my community involvement, both in Tigard and other aspects of life with other volunteer organizations to contribute to the library's ongoing success, because it's been very successful so far in my experience. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves. We're going to act on this resolution, and then if we were in person, I would be handing you a City of Tigard pin, which is sort of one of the things that we do to welcome you onto boards and committees, or to re-welcome you at reappointment. We will make sure that the staff will make sure that a City of Tigard pin in COVID times is mailed to you, so a little less personal, but we still want to continue with our traditions. And with that, council, is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution 21-23.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 21-23. A resolution appointing Mary Bogert and Candace Coleman to the Tigard Library Board for a term of 4 years, and appointing Alana Knepreth to the Tigard Library Board for the term of 3 years, and excuse me, appointing Alan Smith as an alternate for a 2-year term.
And City Recorder, a roll call vote.
Councillor Newton?
Yes.
Council President Lube?
Yes.
Councillor Shaw?
Yes.
Mayor Snyder?
Yes.
Councillor Goodhouse?
Yes.
All right, resolution number 21-23 is adopted unanimously. Congratulations, all of you. And again, thank you for serving our community in this way.
Thank you.
And have a good evening. All right, we will move on to item number 6, which is to consider resolution extending the city's emergency declaration related to COVID-19. City Attorney Rahala, staff report, please.
Good evening, Council. This is your 8th extension of the COVID-19 emergency declaration. Hopefully this is the last one. The reason for this extension is to continue making sure that we are eligible to receive any outside assistance, whether that be financial or otherwise. We do expect this to be our last one, fingers crossed. We do recognize that other jurisdictions around us are either lifting their declarations or they're expiring. So we do expect this to be the last one, hopefully, but just to make sure that we can wrap up all of our efforts and make sure that we get any shared resources, we will be extending until August 31st. So I can answer any questions.
All right, are there questions or discussion or a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 21-24.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 21-24, a resolution of the City of Tigard extending the city's emergency declaration related to COVID-19.
And a roll call vote.
Councilor Newton.
Yes.
Council President Lube.
Yes.
Councilor Shaw.
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes.
Councilor Goodhouse.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 21-24 is adopted unanimously. Thank you very much. And City Attorney Rahala, thank you for continuing to keep up and keep us on track with the extensions to that. That's probably I'm going to guess the longest emergency declaration you'll have in your career, hopefully. But
I certainly hope so.
We'll find out. All right, we'll move on to item number 8 on our agenda, which is to consider approval of a resolution to extend the Tigard Aid Program. And we have staff report tonight from Utility Billing Supervisor Chavez Hernandez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Saul Chavez Hernandez. I am the Utility Billing Supervisor. I'm new here at the City of Tigard. I've been here since April 1st, so this is my first City Council meeting. And tonight we're bringing forth a resolution that is going to enhance the Tigard Aid Program based on the need that we've seen in the community in the last couple of months, especially. This resolution does 3 things. Number 1, it extends the program until funds are expended. Right now it's set to expire on June 30th, and we still have funds that are available. It also, number 2, expands the eligibility of the program to include others who have also been negatively financially impacted due to COVID-19. Right now, the program only allows access to people who have become unemployed or underemployed in association with COVID-19. However, in the last several months, via conversations over the phone or via requests that we've received for Tigard Aid on the website, we've seen that there are many other cases that have led to financial impacts. For example, childcare expenses have skyrocketed because there's not much childcare available at this point. So many households are having to give up a lot more of their income towards paying for childcare. Increased cost due to quarantining. So many that have had to quarantine or isolate due to health concerns have had to pay for delivery and have had to, incur extra expenses that they normally wouldn't have to budget for because of isolating themselves. And also, sadly, there's been a lot of different customers, City of Tigard utility customers that have reported losing family members to COVID-19. And the expenses that go along with that also make a big hit on a family's budget. And then the final thing that this resolution also does is that it combines both the residential and the business program allocations into one allocation where all of the funds for both the business and residential program will be drawn from. That way it can be used based on the need. The reality is that we're seeing much less use on the business side. Even though, you know, outreach efforts have continued and are very strong, there really has not been much use on that side of the program. And the residential side, we've seen an incredible increase here in the last couple of months. So we want to make sure that the funds get used based on need. So the reality that we're seeing right now is that the program still needs to exist. We started disconnections back on April 1st. And because of that, it increased our contact with customers immensely. All of a sudden we had, you know, the phone just kind of ringing off the hook. And we were doing a lot more outreach as well to all of those customers that were set for disconnections. And because, you know, we've had that access to customers, that connection, that contact with them, we've also used those points of contact to increase outreach about Tigard Aid. I'll tell you, I sit in the utility billing office all day. Most phone calls between our utility billing team and the customers end in some sort of information exchange about Tigard Aid. Also, teammates, they walk the clients or the customers, they walk them through the process of applying. It's a very simple application. Some of them are still very apprehensive about filling it out, but our staff encourage, our team members encourage the customer to go forth and fill it out. They walk them through it, you know, it may help them understand how easy it can be. Also, all of the rate adjustment material that has been going out, all of the communication related to the rate adjustments that are taking place, or that are taking effect on July 1st, also contains a lot of Tigard Aid information so that customers are aware that, you know, even though, yes, the rates are getting adjusted based on the need that we're seeing here in the city, there is still relief available. And also, we're doing a lot of direct outreach. I'm one of the ones who processes a lot of these requests, and I see a lot of households that will simply apply for assistance for 1 or maybe 2 months. And I look back on their account and they possibly owe 8, 9, or 10 months of bills that they haven't been able to catch up on. So I reach out to them. We, you know, make a direct phone call, have that conversation, and see if they might have been eligible for some of those months. And in a lot of cases, they are. They just simply didn't know that they could apply, you know, for previous months which have not been paid yet. So there's been a lot more contact and a lot more word spreading about Tigard Aid. And the use of Tigard Aid really has increased. So I want to highlight some numbers here a little bit. Back in 2020, last year, April through June was the first couple of months when Tigard Aid really started working. During those 3 months, April, May, and June, we only made $2,309 in adjustments to accounts. $2,309. Now, fast forward a couple months, January through March of this year, we saw adjustments in the amounts of $109,387. So pretty substantial jump there. Now, once we started with disconnections on April 1st, we saw a much bigger jump. So I pulled data from April 1st through June 14th, and we saw that during that period of time, during those 2.5 months, there was an amount of $185,282 in adjustments made. I'm assuming that by the end of the month, we're going to be well above 200,000 in adjustments for that quarter. And you know, as of June 14th, when we pulled those numbers, the total amount that had been used in Tigard Aid was $360,028 of that original $750,000. So it left a balance of $389,000 roughly. So we're close to, you know, half. I'd say that by now we've probably half of it spent out, most of that in the last couple of months. And, you know, with the outreach efforts that we're making and with all of the customer contact, I really expect that, you know, we're going to be able to get through these funds pretty quickly. Right now, we're averaging about 5 to 6 requests per day. And most of these requests are for multiple months. I mean, some aren't, just 2 or 3 months. Some of them are 10 and 12 months of assistance that a lot of these customers are requesting. So it's become a great success, honestly. These last several months, we've talked with a lot of customers that are just so incredibly thankful for the assistance. Some, they've been able to pay maybe a little bit here and there by borrowing money, by, maybe not paying for other necessary items that they might have had to, move around in their budget. But when we talk with them and we let them know that, their account is clear, that they're in good standing with the utilities, with the city of Tigard, you can really hear the relief in their voice. A lot of them have expressed that it is just a great weight that has been lifted off of their shoulders, thanks to Tigard Aid, which is a really great program. So I, hope that, we can continue it until we spend out these funds. And again, I just want to throw my support behind the work that we're doing here and what council helped move forward. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Well, thank you for that very thorough report, and I want to welcome you to Tigard. Sounds like you jumped in very quickly and helped our teams continue forward with helping our residents, and so I want to thank you for that. Council, any questions of Supervisor Chavez Hernandez? Councillor Shaw.
Great, thank you, and I would like to welcome you as well, Chavez, to the city of Tigard. It's always good to have new residents. A couple of questions. You had mentioned combining the business and the residential programs. Given the comments you made, does that mean that total program now is approximately 389,000?
Yes, that is what's left combined.
Okay. And perhaps this is more of a policy question, but is the goal to make sure we spend it all, or is the goal to make sure we're just helping people who need it?
I think it's a split between the two. I mean, there's a lot of need, and we're doing our best to try to reach out to these customers and encourage them to apply. And I mean, frankly, the funds are there to help these customers get their accounts in good shape. And we want to make sure that, after the pandemic, hopefully every city of Tigard customer is made whole and has, kind of a clean slate after the pandemic. And that's what we're hoping these funds will be able to help us accomplish.
Great. Thank you, Chavez.
Council President Lube.
Yeah, so thank you. Welcome to Tigard, Billing Supervisor Chavez Hernandez. It's really nice to have you. I really appreciated the thorough report. I think it's really helpful to have the context, and I want to thank you for going above and beyond for our residents to connect them. You didn't necessarily have to call them and say you just applied for those 2 months, but what about these other months? And you're going above and beyond for our residents. And I think that was the intent of this program. And thank you for doing that. And, it's a really stressful time, and to hear the relief that people are having is exactly what we were hoping to do with this program. So I really appreciate the additional context so we can tell the story about the success of this program.
Councillor Newton.
Yes, thank you for that very thorough report, and I want to welcome you too. Being familiar with our utility billing team when I work there, I know they're very hardworking and try to do what they can to put the customer first. And I was glad to hear the increased outreach that you're doing. My concern was that perhaps the funds weren't getting spent because people just weren't connecting to how they could access the funds. And in particular, glad to hear that folks who may be apprehensive are getting help with the application. So I would encourage you to get as creative as you can to get the word out to folks that may need help, because as you mentioned and my fellow colleagues have mentioned, that was the intent of these funds. So thank you very much for everything you're doing, and I hope we can reach those in our community that need the assistance. Thank you.
And I will just add that I'm supportive of the approach of combining both the business and residential support, just because we want to do the most good for the most people. I mean, and by people, I'm talking businesses and individuals, just the most good for the most. And that's part of what government's responsibility is. and I feel strongly about that. So I want to make sure that we don't have a bunch of unused aid that could have been used otherwise. Councillor Goodhouse.
Yes, welcome as well. And I just, we've covered a lot of the resident side. I just want to make sure that we're also kind of being thorough on the business sides, because I know that still when I'm out there and talking to businesses, or some they're still kind of coming out of all this, that still some of them didn't realize about that or how to access it. So that we're just as thorough as that as ways to look at those businesses, because they're residents as well, the community, and they have bills just like homeowners and residents and everything else, and to make sure we're also helping all those apartment dwellers as well, making sure that it's just not the homeowners, but we're still continuing those programs or access to people that they don't pay the bill directly, but they're paying it through their landlord, or they're paying it through their apartment complex or something like that. So that we're making sure we're getting wide enough lens to get everyone involved. But yeah, especially with a lot of businesses that are coming back open, if they didn't know about this, might be an actual boost as well.
If Councillor Goodhouse, if you're aware of businesses that you think need the support that somehow have not gotten that message through the variety of channels that this message has been contributed to, I would suggest that you both either outreach to them directly and advise them, or make sure that staff get that information so that folks from the staff can outreach appropriately. And it looks like.
And I think sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, and I think what happened, some businesses, when I was talking to them, when the first time I came out, they weren't able to apply, or they didn't realize, if they have a landlord, they said, well, I can't do it because I went through the landlord. And I know we made some changes along the way. So just as long as those updates made it out to everyone, because when I talked to them, I'm like, no, we've changed that since, and now you can actually get it even though you don't pay the bill directly to the city. And if you pay it, you can get a credit and so forth. So just in the jumble of everything, with so many different messages and so many different care packages and so many different things coming out there, they maybe look at it once and they never look at it again because they didn't realize that some of the parts have changed, that they can go back and get it.
It looks like Mr. Chavez Hernandez may have more to add there.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Snyder. Yeah, so that's actually one of the things that we're really focusing on, is trying to make sure that the most up-to-date information is out about the program. But one of the things that we've also run across is a lot of apprehension to applying for the assistance. We've had to answer a lot of questions about, is this going to affect my taxes? So, letting them know that, no, this is not going to be considered income. You don't need to worry about that. Also, a lot might be apprehensive, thinking that it might be kind of, an invasion of privacy, having to provide a lot of their personal information. We know that with a lot of other social service programs in the United States, sometimes you have to document a lot of things, such as social security numbers, dates of birth, or other personal identifying information. And many customers are apprehensive about it until we explain to them that really the application for Tigard Aid is very minimal. We walk through it, we ask them the questions over the phone, and then we simply say, hey, you answered all the questions. Now just go online, fill in the boxes, and we'll take care of you. So it's been a lot of the outreach has really been focused around a lot of that, of trying to encourage those to spread the word as well, they themselves, especially those in the business community, to talk to their neighbors and other business associates about the program, and just trying to convince people that this is something that they really should try to take advantage of, because the city is really trying to support businesses and families, households here in the city of Tigard. But we're working really hard at it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of conversations. It can be sometimes a little bit emotionally taxing, but our team is working really, really hard at helping all of these customers.
Thank you very much. And are there additional questions or a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 21-25.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 21-25, A resolution repealing Resolution 20-50, expanding eligibility for Tigard's program to provide a monthly utility payment for utility billing customers financially affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, extending the duration of the program until funds are expended, and combining the residential and business program funds.
And City Recorder, roll call vote.
Councillor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder,
Yes.
Councillor Goodhouse.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 21-25 passes unanimously. Staff, thank you very much for your continued work to make sure that we're doing our best to care for our community during the COVID-19 pandemic. All right, item number 9 on the agenda is non-agenda items. We do not have any of those. Next is administrative report. City Manager Reimer, do you have an administrative report tonight?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. Well, good evening, Mayor, councilors, members of the community, and my teammates that are on the call today. Just a quick follow-up from today's conversation. First, thanks for your support for everything we've brought forward, especially the Tigard Aid program. You can see another great teammate of ours join your organization to meet one of your E's as in excellence, as well as another one is an engagement. And so we're just trying to continue to do the things that we can with your support. So thank you. Also, congratulations to our new library board members. I literally heard the pins drop into the mailbox upon your approval. So I believe they're already on the way. And so they should be receiving those in short order. Just a couple other things. I also want to say thank you on behalf of all of us to our youth counselor. You've been absolutely fantastic, as you heard from our mayor and counselors. Personally, I remember our first conversations, and it was great talking with you. And just like everyone said, the questions you brought forward, the ideas you had were just like anyone else. And so I really appreciate it. I know you have a great future ahead, and you've really set the bar. When I was looking into this position, I was really intrigued by having this position. It spoke highly of who Tigard is, and then meeting you and seeing the way that you handle yourself and the questions you ask, and asking us the one time when we were looking at Washington Square, why would anyone buy a car at a car lot? I thought that was like the greatest question I think I've ever heard in my career. And so just appreciate all of that. And so thank you. And just like others, I'm not in the high place, but I'm here to be a resource if you need. So best of luck to you. Just a few things to bring to your attention. As you know, we're doing a lot in our park system, and I'm proud to say that we received a $78,000 waterway access grant for our Cook Park boat dock. And so that'll be the phase 1, where we will match out with some of our CIP funds for the design, the permit activity, and all the things that we need to do to prepare for the project. So thank you to our teammates that put in that application. It sounds like it was very well received and looked upon highly, and so nice job to Tigard and working with the state to get some resources to us. About peoples and plants, as you know, we're slowly but surely working on our library, and so we had community members there to assist with planting over 200 plants recently. Obviously, it's been hot, and it's unfortunately going to get hotter. And so with the chlorine condition that was brought up earlier by Councilor Shaw, we will minimize our watering, but because they're new, we do want to make sure the plants stay alive. But on that note, in talking with our library director, she indicated that we are looking at much more drought tolerant plantings. And so the first year or two, they'll need a little additional water. And then after that, they should be much more sustainable. So meeting some of our long-term sustainability goals as well. So kudos to all of them. Our transportation system plan update, as you know about, we are having a survey now that's open through June to really ask about what are some big bold moves for our transportation system, especially as you look at sidewalk connections and trails and the non-vehicular transportation modes. And so we'll be gathering information from the community and bringing that back forward as we formulate our policy recommendations for your consideration. At Universal Plaza, there's 12 artworks representing a collection of work from Metzger Elementary School. So great having our students involved once again in another way. And it's really focused on the community's resilience. So it's really great to see all these different things come forward like this, where the students are involved. We're always asking the community for the input. So every week I'm just pleased when I get to updates from everyone, all the things that everyone's working on. Just a reminder that our Tigard Gold graduation is this Saturday from 12 to 12:30. All of you should have received that invite. If not, we can make sure that you have it. Thanks for your support with body-worn cameras. Very proud to report from the chief that all officers are now equipped and trained with our new body-worn cameras. And so thank you very much. And we are now working on our dash camera system, which should be rolling out, I believe, near the end of July. And so once again, this is why we brought this forward earlier, so we would have these in place as soon as possible. And I think the real credit to all of you is that we're not even done with this fiscal year and everyone's equipped. And so rather than waiting for the budget process, so we really appreciate the council looking at that in your third quarter supplement for this reason. And so our officers and community are in a much better position now because of that. And just to end talking about our 5 E's, and I want to focus on excellence again. Really a thank you to 2 teammates, Kyle Henderson, one of our police officers, and then James Mason, who works in our utility billing. Both of them have done some really great things like many teammates. And I just want to share 2 examples of things that happen day in and day out. First, for Officer Henderson, he was awarded the department's life-saving medal for his actions on May 24th of this year. He responded to a fentanyl overdose at one of our hotels. He recognized it, took the individual's experienced an overdose, took the appropriate steps, and because of his actions, the patient was stabilized and then transported. And so great training, obviously, and a great awareness of what was happening and using his training to really save someone's life. The next was Mr. Mason, who works in our utility billing area. He was out doing his service calls when he smelled some natural gas, and he got curious and started to investigate where it was coming from. And it led him to an open garage. And at that point, he realized that he heard a hissing sound coming. So he immediately knocked on the door and asked the people to leave their house, made sure that they were clear, and then called 911 for the fire department to show up. So just a couple of really great things that happened that really truly saved lives. And it's those little things that we all know that add up. And so it's great being part of this team, and it's great having teammates like that. So that is my report, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, those are fabulous, fabulous incidents that you were sharing there, City Manager Reimer. Please extend council and my personal thank you to those staff, both for helping to protect our community in similar and different ways. So thank you.
We will. Thank you.
We do not have an executive session scheduled. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll move to adjourn.
Just so early, we're not used to this.
I believe it's been moved twice, but not seconded. So is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councillor Newton,
Yes.
Council President Lube,
Yes.
Councillor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder,
Yes.
Councillor Goodhouse.
Yes.
Youth Councillor Calderon, you want to advisory vote on the end of your last meeting?
I would want to vote yes, but because it's my last one, I will vote no.
Good choice.
Well played.
And on that note, good night, Tigard. We are adjourned.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Emilio has to stay on.
Night, Tigard.
Good night.